In this video, I'm going to be going over all of my worst moments from 1978's Halloween. Alright guys, in my last video, I gave you some of my favorite moments from John Carpenter's Halloween from 1978. So this time around, we're going to go through some of my worst moments. Now, there aren't as many worst moments as there were best moments. I mean, to me, this movie was pretty close to perfect. So it's going to be a short list. I've only got 7, so let's go ahead and jump right in. So in my best of video, I gave you at number 11 something from the TV version of 1978's Halloween. So we're going to do the same thing here. On my worst list from 1978's Halloween, the television version of the movie is going to be when Linda shows up to Laurie's house. Now, fun fact about this moment, that's actually the interior of the Nightmare on Elm Street house that they're using for this shot. So we actually could see the Nightmare on Elm Street house before Nightmare on Elm Street was ever filmed. Most people just don't realize that it is. So Laurie's just getting out of the shower and the doorbell rings and it's Linda at the door, and Linda's rushing to get into the house because she thinks she's being followed by someone else at school. And of course we know it's Michael Myers that's following her. But the reason this is on my worst scene is that once she describes that she's being followed, it just completely goes into a different direction and is so unimportant to the movie. And you could tell they were really filling up the time just for that television version of the movie because they needed it to be a certain length for TV. Linda comes over because she wants to borrow a blouse from Laurie, and Laurie doesn't want her to borrow it, and she thinks she's gonna rip the blouse, so she's trying to fight her off. And then the phone rings and Laurie gets a little creeped out because maybe it's, you know, whoever's been following them. Turns out to be Annie on the other end of the line, and Annie also wants to borrow the same blouse, and there's this little bicker back and forth between the three of them over the blouse, and it's just so unnecessary, and it's very obvious that it was just to fill time for that TV version, and it's so bad. And it's one of those that, as much as I like some of the stuff that they added into the TV version, like some of the Loomis scenes, this is one that we can definitely do without. Coming in at my number 6 spot is when Michael is following Annie and Laurie in the car, and Annie sees her dad because the drugstore just got robbed. Well, once she says, "It's my dad," and she starts driving toward the drugstore, before they even make that turn, Michael pulls over as if to know that she was going to stop in front of that drugstore. Now, at this point, there's no way of Michael Myers knowing that, for one, the sheriff that's sitting outside of the drugstore is Annie's father. So there's no way that he expected her to stop there. So that's always just bothered me that he pulls over before they even make that decision to make that turn. It's not a bad moment, but it made this list because it just made no sense to me. Coming in at number 5, I'm actually going to give 2 moments to this spot. And because they involve the same thing, and that's Lester the family dog. If you remember the moment where Annie Brackett is on the phone with Laurie, and she says, "I'm about to be ripped apart by the family dog," but the dog's actually just trying to warn them that someone's outside, so the dog goes out there, and Myers snaps the dog's neck, and you see the feet just kind of droop down, you know the dog's dead. And for me, that's such a terrible moment because I love animals, and I just hated that he killed the dog. Like, I can deal with him killing everyone else in the movie. Don't kill the fucking dog. I hate that. The reason I say there's going to be 2 moments in this one spot, it also involves the dog, and that's when Loomis and Brackett go to the house and they find the dog laying on the floor. Now, they don't show us that the dog is there, but then Loomis says he got hungry. And the reason I say that's such a bad moment is this guy ate the fucking dog. Like, that's... I get the idea that he's not human, but I felt like it was just unnecessary that they had to throw in this weird moment where he ate the dog. They could have literally searched the house, found nothing, and then went right into that famous Loomis speech. Alright, coming in at number 4 on my worst of Halloween list is gonna be when Laurie finds her friends, and there's this one very specific moment where she backs up to the closet and then Bob's body swings down from the closet upside down. And the reason I say that's on my worst moment is Michael Myers has been locked away in a sanitarium for majority of his life. Where in the fuck did he find the ingenuity? How did he think of a way to booby trap this man's body to swing down with perfect fucking timing? Like, Laurie is backing up and then right at the perfect moment, just as she's just close enough to the closet, the body swings down and bumps into her. Like, how is that even possible? So that's just one of those moments that every time I watch the movie, I know it's coming, and the whole scene is on my best moments, but that specific moment makes my worst moments because how the hell did he do it? Coming in at number 3 on my worst moments of Halloween from 1978 is going to be the Marion Chambers scene at the very beginning of the movie. And this is when she's being attacked. He's on top of the car. She backs up to the window, and you see Michael's hand come crashing down into the window. And if you look close enough, you can see the effect they used to make this happen wasn't really an effect, it was a wrench. So they taped a wrench to the stuntman's hand, and then you can clearly see the wrench break the window. And it's just one of those things that sticks out to me every single time. I can't unsee it. I can't ignore it. It's just there. Number 2 on my list is going to be when Laurie is sitting in front of the couch. When she realizes the side window is open and Michael more than likely got into this house. She knows he's in there. She's saying, "Please leave me alone." She's sitting on the floor, and she takes out the needle, the sewing needle, and she's sitting there. And Michael jumps from behind the couch and completely misses the stab. I mean, misses it by a mile. She's right there. He's this close, and somehow he hits the cushion of the couch. Now, this just throws me off because he's someone who's so cold and calculated. All his kills are well thought out. He never misses his moment, but somehow he manages to completely fuck this up. And it's just one of those things that every time I watch this movie, I'm like, how is this possible with someone like Michael Myers? It just doesn't make any sense to me that he missed that kill. And number 1 on my list is, it's more than a worst moment, it's a cringe moment for me, and I hate it. I hate it every time I watch it. It's one of those things that honestly, they could have reshot this scene, and I never understood why to this day they never take it out, especially in the time that we live in. I know I'll probably get some hate for this one because everyone wants the movie to be left just the way it is, and the movie is perfect, but there's just that one thing. And this is when Bob and Linda are in the van and they're making their big plan for when they get in the house. And then he says,
"Okay, first I rip your clothes off.
Don't rip my blouse, it's expensive, idiot."
Then you rip my clothes off. Then we rip Lindsay's clothes off. Yeah, I think I got it.
Totally.
I'm sorry, what? Lindsay's like an 8-year-old girl. Who wrote this fucking line? Like, was this written in the script? Did someone write this down in the script and then whoever reviewed the script said, yeah, let's go with that? Or did he just improv that entire moment and no one caught it until it was too late to edit it out? Or how did they get to that point, and why did they allow that in the movie? I think it's just a gross comment, and I cringe when I hear that. So that is my very, very worst of Halloween 1978. This, to me, is about as close to a perfect Halloween movie as you can get. But just kind of nitpicking some of the things that always bothered me, this is what made my worst list. So please go ahead, subscribe, click the notification bell. That way you know when I post the next video. We'll be moving on to the best and worst of Halloween 2.